Hello, I'm Mr. Ibrahim Makoga from Educare TZ. I'm teaching chemistry and we are proceeding with our nectar solving series and we are going to solve the nectar form 2 of different years, and we have already solved the different questions from different nectars. Go and subscribe our channel or pass through our channel and view it to see how question come and how you can solve that question if you face them. So in this session, we are going to use the question number 5 of 2014, and in this question we will pass through the make revision on the topic of compound solution and the mixture. Kwenye hii topic, kwa hiyo unakuta ndo swali ambalo swali lilipotoka kule, na kupitia swali manake unaweza kupata idea zaidi ya kujibu hata swali lingine kijitokeza ambalo linahusiana na hii topic. Na sasa kipengele sana cha solution, suspension pale na kwenye compound, kwa mwanafunzi itakiwa awe na idea ya hivi vitu. And the question was, write the name of each of the following compound. So the compound are this, there are 4 compound and the student was supposed to give the names. So itakiwa mwanafunzi tu awe na idea au awe na kumbukumbu hii vitu ni vitu gani. So lazima ilibidi ajue hii compound imetengenezwa na vitu gani, cation ni ipi, anion ni ipi, the name of cation, name of anion. After then utacombine jina tu, na ilibidi ajue pia kwamba namna gani unaandika compound, kuseparate cation na anion. Unajua kwamba anion na cation huwa ziunganishwi, so ukiunganisha ni kosa na yenyewe. So hivyo ndio tokea mwanafunzi tu awe nayo idea hiyo, ajue cation ni ipi, anion ni ipi, jina la cation ni ipi na jina la anion ni ipi. Baadaye anafanyaje? Anatoa jina tu halisi. Then B was, give 3 difference between the following electrovalent compound and the covalent compound. So the question need a student to have a knowledge about the electrovalent bond and the covalent bond. Covalent bond ni ipi, electrovalent bond ni ipi. Na ukishajua electrovalent bond na covalent bond, utakuja kujua covalent compound ni zipi na electrovalent compound ni zipi. Kwa ni rahisi sana kudifferentiate. Tunapoambiwa kwamba electrovalent compound and covalent compounds, ukishajua bondi zao zipoje, utajua kabisa kumbe covalent compound wana sifa fulani, maana bondi zao zitakuwa zinafanana na sifa za compound. So that was about the question. And the solution and suspension, also student was supposed to give the difference between solution na suspension. Suspension ni kitu gani na solution ni kitu gani? Kwa kujua hivyo mwanafunzi, au kujua properties za suspension au kujua properties za solution, ukishajua hivyo ni rahisi sana kuweza kulijibu hili swali, kwa sababu kama unajua properties za solution na properties za suspension, obvious zitakuwa ni tofauti. Hata kama kuna sifa ambazo zinafanana, lakini kuna utofauti za kuwepo. So most utakuta kama properties zake, properties za solution na properties za suspension zinatofautiana kabisa kabisa. Kwa hiyo hizo ndio zitakuwa ndio difference zake. Pia hata kwenye compound, electrovalent compound na electrovalent na covalent compound, zile properties zao ni different kabisa. So hiyo ndio itakuwa ni moja ya difference. So, this is his, this is that, this is that and that. So that was the question number 5 of 2015. And after then, let's check on the answers for the question. Now, for first part A, a student is required to give the names of the compound. If you see the first compound imeundwa na cation ambayo ilikuwa ni ammonium, NH4. Hii ni ammonium, na anion yetu ilikuwa ni CO3 ambayo ni carbonate. So the general name manake itakuwa ni cation ni ammonium na anion ni carbonate, toto inakuwa ni ammonium carbonate. Na kama nilivyosema, this space should be leaved. If you join as a single word, it will be a long name, So you have to leave the space between a cation and the anion. Don't combine the name of cation and the anion. So the cation should be written separately and anion should be written separate as this. So this is the correct name, ammonium carbonate. And after then, number 2, if we see number 2 is made by, if we see here, there is first here, cation here is calcium. Unamkuta kuna calcium hapa, hapo kuna chlorine ambayo ina chloride ions. So hii ni chloride. Manake hapa total name, sorry for this, not carbon, this is a chloride. This is a chloride ions. So total name itakuwa ni calcium chloride. Calcium chloride. Cancel this. It is calcium chloride. Calcium chloride. This is calcium and this is chloride. After this space is the calcium chloride. This will be the name of the compound, calcium chloride. And then number 3, the compound was made by, cation is sodium here. If you see, it is sodium. And the anion here, if we cross check, you see this is sulfate. So the total name here will be sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate will be the name of this compound. Sodium sulfate will be the name of the compound. And the last one was made by potassium cation. Hapa sasa mwanafunzi inabidi ujue kabisa hapa, hii ni potassium ambayo itakuwa ndo cation, lakini hii yote ni anion ambayo inaitwa chlorate. Chlorate inakuwa inaandikwa ClO3 afu na negative juu, hiyo ni chlorate. Then the name will be potassium chlorate. This will be the name of this compound, potassium chlorate. So this was supposed to be answered by a student, except for this, hii inakuwa ni chloride, not carbonate. So by saying that, by doing that, a student will be able to get all the marks that is allocated in this question. And after then, the second part was required to give the difference between electrovalent compound and covalent compound, also solution and the suspension. But earlier I've said that if you want to differentiate this compound of electrovalent and covalent compound, you have first to know the properties of covalent compounds and the properties of electrovalent compound. After knowing that, you'll be able to give the difference. Yani ukishajua properties zake, ni rahisi kufanyaje kuziandika difference zake. Properties ya huyu ni ipi, properties ya huyu ni ipi. Obviously zinakuwa ni tofauti. Kwa hiyo zile properties zake ndio utazitumia katika kuandika difference. Let's see the properties. So first let's see the properties of covalent compound and the electrovalent compound. Covalent compound hizi kwanza ni compound ambazo zinakuwa formed by sharing of electrons. Covalent compound are compound that are formed when electrons or ions shared electrons, by sharing of electrons. But when you say about electrovalent bond, electrovalent compound or ionic compound, these are compounds that are made by transfer of electrons. Na kule tunakuta kuna cation na anions, lakini kwenye covalent compound hakuna kuzungumzia kwa hiki ni cation au ni anion, hakuna kitu kama hicho. So kwa mfano ukizungumzia, unakuja kuona sulfur trioxide au sulfur dioxide, hizo ni covalent compound kwa sababu zimekuwa made by sharing of electrons. Hakuna ions pale wala hakuna cation, na mara nyingi zinakuwa formed between non-metals. Between non-metals unapata covalent compound. And the properties are their melting point and boiling point are low. So covalent compound have low melting point and the boiling point. So it means that the bond is not stronger than ionic bond. So bond ambayo inakuwa formed pale inakuwa ni less strong ukicompare na kwenye ionic bond au kwenye electrovalent bond. Ndio maana zinakuwa zina low boiling point na low melting point, kwa sababu unajua kwamba melting point it measure the strength of intermolecular forces between atoms. The strength of intermolecular forces between atoms is measured by boiling point. Also, it usually exists as liquid or gas at room temperature. So most covalent bond exists as a liquid or or gases at room temperature. As I've said, sulfur dioxide, FeC calcium dioxide, those are the gases. FeC ethene, those are gases. So hizo ni covalent compound. Do not conduct electricity. Since there have no free ions to move, there are no free ions, then they are not able to conduct electricity, kwamba hazipitishi umeme hizo covalent compound. Kwa mfano hizo gesi zenyewe haziwezi kupitisha umeme, even also heat. Also they are soluble in organic solvent. Covalent compound ni soluble kwenye organic solvent, Kwa hiyo ukichukua covalent compound ikiwa ina dissolve kwenye organic solvent, hiyo maana yake unajua kwamba hiyo ni covalent compound. But if they are soluble in organic solvent, they are insoluble in organic solvent like water. They are insoluble in water. Hizi hazidissolve kwenye maji. Kama ikidissolve inakuwa slightly soluble, yani kidogo sana, kwa udogo sana inaweza dissolve, but cannot dissolve in water. This is among of property of covalent compound. After then, let's see the properties of electrovalent compound or ionic compound. As I've said earlier, ionic compounds, these are the compounds that are formed by sharing of electrons. When electrons between ions are shared or between elements are shared, they tend to form some called the ionic bond. It means that in this compound there is formation of ions. Ions that form crystals, ions. So the element or the compound are soluble in water. The element are soluble in water. Example, if we check about the sodium chloride, ni chumvi. Chumvi ile pale ukiweka kwenye maji na dissolve. So this is among of the covalent electrovalent compound or ionic compound. And we say that they conduct electricity when in solution or molten state. They conduct electricity if they are in molten. If they are molten state, it means that the ions tend to split, ina dissolve au inafanyaje? Yeah, ina dissociate, ina form ions. Kwa mfano sodium chloride ina form sodium ions pamoja na chlorine ions. These ions, they are free to move in solution. So if you put electricity to supply electricity in the solution, the ions are able to move with charges into other side and they make the circulation of electricity. That is about this electrovalent compound. Also usually a crystalline solid at room temperature. As I've said, example of sodium chloride, it is a solid. So zile solid zote unakuta mara nyingi zinakuwa ni electrovalent compound. Ukija kumuona maabara kule kuna copper sulfate, kuna sodium chloride, kuna barium sulfate, kuja kuzikuta nyingi hizo ambazo ni solid at room temperature, solid compounds. Then they have high boiling point This has high boiling point. The formation of bond between ions is very, very strong compared to those the bond formed by sharing of electrons. So covalent bond is weaker than electrovalent bond. Electrovalent bond is very strong. That is why the compound formed by electrovalent bond have high boiling point and melting point. Have high boiling point and the melting point. That's the amount of the properties of electrovalent bond. Although they are insoluble in organic nonpolar solvent like ethanol, ether, benzene and kerosene. So hizi zenyewe ni insoluble kwenye organic solvent but are soluble in water. Are soluble in water. Zinaweza dissolve kwenye maji but cannot dissolve in organic solvent. Kwa mfano hizo kwenye ether, ethanol, benzene, this electrovalent compound cannot dissolve. So after seeing the properties, now let's see difference. We have seen. So the difference between electrovalent compound and covalent compound are this. Electrovalent compound are soluble in water, while covalent compound are insoluble in water. So hapo itakiwa juu iandikwe difference between covalent bond and hapo. Electrovalent compound soluble in water, but covalent compound are insoluble in water. Number 2, we say covalent compound conduct electricity, while covalent compound does not conduct electricity. Electrovalent compound conduct electricity, but covalent compound do not conduct electricity. Another, electrovalent compound have high boiling point, while covalent compound have low boiling point. Also, electrovalent compound are clustered and solid, while covalent compound are liquid at room temperature. Liquid or gas at room temperature, but these are clustered or solid at room temperature. Also, electrovalent compound are insoluble in organic solvent, while covalent compound are soluble in organic solvent. So these are the difference between electrovalent compound and the covalent compound. Tumeona kuna melting point bado, una high melting point, una low melting point, and the other properties ambazo tumezikuta kule ni difference na zenyewe. So this is the difference between covalent compound and the electrovalent compound. After then, let's see the question number B2 about suspension and solution. Also, before checking on the difference, let's check on the properties of suspension and property of solution. We say suspension are heterogeneous mixture. Suspension ni mixture ambayo unakuta ndani ina kama kuna some particles ambazo zina suspend. There are suspended particles in the solution or in the mixture. Na hii kwa mfano ukiona dawa yote imeandikiwa au dawa au kinywaji imeandikwa shake well before use, that is the solution. Ukiambia shake well before use, hiyo ni suspension, so no solution. It is suspension. Manake inaweza zile particles zina suspend mle ndani. Also it is opaque, not clear. It is opaque. Unakuta kwamba sio clear. So manake mle ndani imecontain vitu vinaelea, hauwezi ukaona. Particles separate without dissolving. Particles zake mle ndani has dissolve, zipo mle ndani zinaelea lakini has dissolve mle ndani. Hiyo ndio suspension, has dissolve. Also components separate by filtration. Kuseparate components zake unatumia filtration. It means that unatoa liquid, unabakiza zile filtrate ambazo itakuwa ni zile particles, zile solid particles ambazo zina suspend kwenye ile suspension. Another property of it is property of solution. Solution is homogeneous mixture. If it is homogeneous mixture, it means that it is transparent and clear. It is clear or it is transparent. Homogeneous mixture unajua kama ni mixture ambayo ina same composition, appearance and components zake zipo sawa, kama appearance inafanana na composition. That is about homogeneous mixture. Particles completely dissolved. Ukichukua chumvi kwa dissolve kwenye maji inayeyuka kabisa na form clear solution. Unasema haya ni maji peke yake, lakini mle ndani mna chumvi. Also components separated by evaporation. To separate the solution, you have to evaporate a liquid remaining within a solid. That is about. So after then, let's check the difference. We say difference between solution and suspension. Solution is homogeneous mixture we have seen, but suspension is heterogeneous mixture. Solution is transparent while suspension is opaque. So ukicheck kwa mfano mango juice ni suspension, ni opaque, huwezi ukaona vizuri, lakini mixture of solution, mixture of water and sugar, it is solution because it is clear. Also, particles completely dissolves while particles separate without dissolving. In suspension, particles do not dissolve, but in solution, particles dissolves completely. And in solution, components separate by evaporation, while components separate by filtration in suspension. That are the difference between solution and the suspension. So this is the question, and the was supposed to be answered as this. And by saying that, this marked the end of the session, and I welcome you in other session in Dodecare TZ. Make follow up if you have not subscribed, subscribe, share, and like. So for any comment in your comment session to improve our program. Goodbye and have a nice moment.